Alhamdulillah, in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most gracious, the most merciful. Peace and blessings be upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. My beloved brothers and sisters, there are moments in life when the road feels blocked, when doors seem sealed shut, when your dua feels unanswered and your heart feels tired. You look at your situation and whisper, this is impossible. But today, remind your heart of one eternal truth. Nothing is impossible for Allah. When the world says no way, Allah says be, and it becomes. If you learn to say the right words with the right belief, Allah will turn your impossibility into reality. When life presses you from every side and your strength begins to fade, remember that your power was never meant to carry everything alone. The believer is not defined by physical ability, wealth, or influence, but by where the heart turns in moments of difficulty. Saying Allah is able is not a casual phrase, it is a declaration of faith that reshapes the way you see every challenge. When you say these words sincerely, you acknowledge that no matter how heavy the burden feels, it is still lighter than the power of Allah that surrounds it. Many people become exhausted because they try to solve divine-sized problems with human-sized strength. They overthink, they worry, they lose sleep, and their hearts grow restless. But the moment you remind yourself that Allah is capable of all things, something changes inside you. Your chest feels lighter, not because the problem disappears instantly, but because you no longer carry it alone. You hand it over to the one who controls outcomes, timings, and destinies. The greatest mistake a person makes is measuring their problems against their own weakness instead of measuring them against Allah's greatness. When you say Allah is able, you stop limiting the possibilities. You stop saying, how will this happen? And start believing Allah already knows how. Human logic ends where divine power begins. What cannot be fixed by planning can be transformed by dua. What cannot be healed by effort can be restored by Allah's mercy. History is filled with moments where the impossible collapsed in front of belief. Seas parted, fire lost its ability to burn, and provision arrived where none existed. These were not coincidences, they were reminders that Allah's power is not restricted by the laws He created. If He commands ease, no force can block it. If He commands change, no obstacle can resist it. When a believer truly understands this, fear loses its grip. Saying Allah is able also teaches patience. You stop rushing outcomes and start trusting divine timing. You realize that delays are not denials and silence is not abandonment. Allah may be teaching you endurance, strengthening your reliance, or protecting you from what you cannot yet see. The heart that believes in Allah's ability does not panic when things move slowly. It remains firm, knowing that Allah never arrives late. This belief transforms the way you make du'a. You no longer beg with desperation, you ask with confidence and humility. You speak to Allah knowing that every word is heard, every tear is counted, and every intention is known. Even when the answer doesn't come in the form you expected, you trust that Allah chose what was best for you, not what was easiest. When you repeat Allah is able, in moments of fear, sadness, and confusion, it becomes a shield for your heart. Anxiety weakens because reliance strengthens. Hope rises because trust replaces doubt. You may not see the path ahead, but you believe the one guiding you never loses his way. This mindset does not remove effort from your life, it removes despair. You continue working, striving, and improving, but with peace. You stop exhausting yourself over outcomes and start focusing on sincerity. When Allah sees a heart that truly believes in His ability, He opens doors that no one else can close. In the end, saying Allah is able is not just about solving problems, it is about anchoring your soul to the truth that nothing you face is bigger than the one who created you. When this belief settles in the heart, even the heaviest trials feel manageable, because you know that the power behind you is far greater than the challenge in front of you. What you call impossible is often nothing more than a limit created by human thinking. The mind looks at circumstances, statistics, past failures, and current pain, then declares, there is no way forward. But impossibility was never a divine concept. It was born from fear, weakness, and limited vision. Allah is not restricted by what you see or what you understand. He He operates beyond logic, beyond patterns, and beyond expectations. When you understand this, the word impossible begins to lose its meaning. Human beings rely heavily on what they can calculate. If the numbers don't add up, hope fades. If the door doesn't open immediately, trust weakens. But Allah does not need visible resources to create results. He creates ease without means and solutions without explanation. Many people fail not because Allah did not help them, but because they stopped believing when logic told them to stop trying. They gave up at the very moment when divine help was being prepared. The mind becomes the greatest barrier when it convinces the heart that Allah's power is limited by the situation. You look at your past mistakes and think they have sealed your future. You look at your lack and believe it defines your destiny. But Allah is the one who changes states in a single moment. He can turn loss into gain, weakness into strength, and despair into hope without warning. What takes humans years to fix, Allah can transform in seconds. When Allah delays a response, it is not because He is unable, nor because He is unaware. It is because the timing matters more than the outcome. A blessing given too early can harm you, and a test removed too soon can weaken you. Allah sees the entire picture while you see only the present pain. That is why what feels like denial is often divine protection, and what feels like delay is often divine alignment. Impossibility also disappears when you understand that Allah's help often arrives in unexpected forms. You wait for one specific door to open, while Allah prepares a better one you never considered. You focus on one solution, while Allah creates an entirely new path. If Allah had answered you exactly the way you wanted every time, you might never grow, reflect, or strengthen your reliance on Him. The heart that truly believes knows that Allah can rewrite destiny. Even if everything around you says it is over, Allah can begin again. He revives dead hearts, restores broken relationships, and replaces losses with something far better. The past does not trap you when Allah is in control of your future. Many people fail to see miracles because they are too busy measuring possibilities instead of trusting Allah's will. They forget that Allah does not require perfect circumstances to act. He only requires sincerity, patience, and reliance. When those three come together, barriers collapse without warning. When why remove the idea of impossibility from your heart, your relationship with Allah deepens. You stop asking, why me? And start asking, what is Allah teaching me? You stop complaining and start trusting. You stop fearing outcomes and start relying on divine wisdom. This shift does not change the world immediately, but it changes you. And once you change, everything else follows. Impossibility ends where true faith begins. The moment you believe that Allah is capable of changing anything at any time, fear weakens and hope rises. Even if the situation remains unchanged for a while, your heart becomes strong enough to endure it. And that strength itself is a sign that Allah is already working behind the scenes. When you turn to Allah with words on your lips but doubt in your heart, the soul remains restless. Saying the right phrases without conviction is like knocking on a door while already believing it will never open. True belief gives life to words. When you speak to Allah, your heart must be present, certain that He hears you, understands you, and is fully capable of responding in the best way. Certainty is not arrogance, it is trust. It is knowing that Allah's mercy and power are greater than your fear and confusion. Many people make du'a while mentally preparing themselves for disappointment. They ask Allah for ease but expect hardship. They ask for change but assume nothing will improve. This inner conflict weakens the heart. Allah responds to sincerity, humility, and trust. When a believer raises their hands, they do not approach Allah as someone uncertain of His ability, but as a servant who knows that whatever Allah chooses will be better than what they imagine. Certainty does not mean demanding outcomes. It means trusting Allah's wisdom. Even when the outcome is delayed or different. When you say, "Oh Allah, help me," you must believe that help is already being arranged. Even if you cannot see it yet. The unseen is not empty. It is filled with Allah's plans. Just because you do not witness immediate change does not mean nothing is happening. Many transformations occur quietly before they appear visibly. The heart that is certain remains calm during waiting. It does not rush Allah. question His decisions or compare its journey to others. It understands that Allah's timing is perfect, even when it feels painful. Doubt creates anxiety, but certainty brings peace. The believer who trusts Allah sleeps with a lighter heart, knowing that whatever tomorrow brings is already under divine care. When certainty enters the heart, fear begins to fade. You stop being paralyzed by what if and start trusting Allah will handle it. This does not remove effort from your life, it removes panic. You continue striving, planning and working, but without the burden of obsession. You know that success is not solely dependent on your effort, but on Allah's permission. But certainty also strengthens patience. You do not abandon du'a because of silence, and you do not give up because of repeated trials. You understand that Allah sometimes tests belief by delaying answers, not to reject you, but to raise your level. Every moment of patience is counted, every tear is seen, and every whisper is recorded. Nothing is wasted in Allah's sight. When you speak to Allah with certainty, your words come from a heart that fully relies on Him. You no longer say, if Allah wants, with hesitation, but with submission and confidence. You accept that Allah may give you what you ask, delay it, or replace it with something better, and in all cases, you trust His decision. Certainty transforms the way you view hardship. Instead of seeing it as punishment, you begin to see it as preparation. Allah prepares His servants through pressure, shapes them through patience and strengthens them through reliance. The heart that believes firmly does not break easily because it knows that Allah never burdens a soul beyond what it can bear. In the end, speaking with certainty is not about perfect faith, it is about sincere reliance. Even when the heart trembles, you choose to trust. Even when the road is unclear, you choose to believe. And that choice to trust Allah fully is what turns ordinary words into powerful supplication and transforms fear into unwavering hope. Allah does not always choose the strongest shoulders or the loudest voices. He often chooses the hearts that are broken, humbled and softened by hardship. When a person reaches the point where every door seems closed and every support fades away, that moment feels like abandonment, but in reality, it is often selection. Allah brings His servant to a place where reliance on creation ends, so that reliance on the Creator can begin. The world may see weakness, but Allah sees sincerity. A broken heart is not rejected by Allah, it is welcomed. When pride is shattered and self-dependence collapses, the heart becomes open and receptive. In this state, a person speaks to Allah with honesty, not performance. There are no rehearsed words, no polished sentences, only truth, pain and hope. Allah loves this closeness. The tears that fall in private, the silent du'as whispered in the dark, and the patience shown when no one is watching are all signs of a heart that Allah draws near to Himself. Many people believe that Allah answers the strongest, but often He responds to the most sincere. Those who feel overlooked by the world, unseen by people, and forgotten by society are never forgotten by Allah. He knows the weight you carry, the battles you fight silently, and the nights you spend struggling with your thoughts. When the heart is broken for the sake of Allah, it becomes a place where His mercy ascends. Hardship has a way of stripping away illusions. It removes false confidence and replaces it with humility. In that humility, the heart learns to rely fully on Allah. This is why many of the greatest transformations happen during the hardest moments. When you are exhausted and have nothing left to give, Allah steps in with strength you did not know you had. What feels like weakness becomes the very reason Allah's help arrives. Allah often delays relief because He wants to hear your voice again and again. Not because He needs to hear it, but because you need the closeness. Each time you turn to Him in vulnerability, your rank is raised. Each time you choose patience over complaint, your heart becomes stronger. Allah is gentle with the broken. He does not rush their healing, and He does not ignore their pain. When you feel that you have no one left, that feeling is not a curse. It is an invitation to draw closer to Allah than ever before. At that moment, your du'a is pure, your reliance is real, and your connection is sincere. Allah never abandons a heart that turns to Him honestly. Even when relief does not come immediately, peace begins to settle within. Because the heart knows it is not alone. The world values perfection, strength, success, but Allah values sincerity, patience and trust. A broken heart that continues to believe, continues to pray and continues to hope is more powerful than a heart that has never been tested. Allah uses pain to polish the soul, to remove arrogance and to replace it with gratitude and humility. In this brokenness, you discover a new version of yourself, one that relies less on people and more on Allah, one that seeks approval from the Creator rather than validation from creation. This transformation is not easy, but it is beautiful. Allah does not waste tears, struggles or suffering. Every moment of pain owns a step closer to Him. Being broken does not mean being defeated, it means being prepared. Prepared for a level of closeness, strength and faith that comfort alone could never produce. And when Allah decides to heal the heart He has drawn close, the healing is deeper, stronger and more lasting than anything the world could offer. What you are facing right now may feel like a wall standing in your path, blocking every direction you try to move in. The pressure is heavy, the struggle is exhausting, and at times it feels as though nothing will change. But what appears to be a wall is often a bridge designed by Allah, meant to carry you from who you were to who you are becoming. Trials are not placed in your life to break you, they are placed to build you in ways comfort never could. Every hardship carries a lesson, even when that lesson is hidden beneath pain and confusion. Allah does not test randomly, nor does He burden a soul without purpose. Each difficulty is measured, timed, and tailored specifically for your growth. If the test feels heavy, it is because Allah sees the strength within you, even when you cannot see it yourself. He knows what your heart is capable of enduring and what your soul needs to rise. Many people stop walking because the journey becomes uncomfortable. They assume resistance means they are on the wrong path. But often resistance is proof that something meaningful is taking shape. Just as muscles grow through strain, faith grows through struggle. Allah uses trials to cleanse the heart from arrogance, to detach it from the temporary world, and to reconnect it to the eternal. When you begin to see your trial as a bridge, your perspective changes. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and begin asking, "What is Allah teaching me through this?" This shift does not remove the pain, but it gives it meaning. Pain with purpose is easy to carry than pain without understanding. Allah never allows His servant to suffer without reason. Hardship also reveals truth. It shows you who you truly rely on, where your heart is attached, and how strong your faith really is. In ease, belief can feel effortless. In hardship, belief becomes a conscious choice. Choosing patience when anger feels easier. Choosing trust when fear feels stronger. And choosing hope when despair tries to take over. These choices shape the believer's character. Allah often uses trials to redirect your life. What you thought was a loss may actually be protection. What you thought was delay may actually be preparation. Sometimes Allah blocks one path because another, better one, awaits you. If Allah removed every obstacle instantly, you might never reach the destination meant for you. The bridge of hardship also leads to gratitude. Once you cross it, you realize how much Allah carried you through when you had no strength left. You recognize blessings you once ignored and appreciate ease you once took for granted. This awareness deepens your connection with Allah and strengthens your humility. Trials teach endurance. They teach you how to stand firm when everything shakes, how to rely on Allah when answers are unclear, and how to trust even when outcomes are uncertain. Every moment you remain patient is an act of worship. Every time you hold on to hope, you are strengthening your faith. Even when you cannot see the other side of the bridge, keep walking. Allah does not abandon those who trust Him. Relief may come suddenly or gradually, but it will come at the perfect time. Until then, the struggle itself is shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and closer to Allah. What feels like hardship today may become the very reason you thank Allah tomorrow. The bridge you are crossing may be painful, but it is leading you somewhere greater than where you started. And Allah, who placed the trial in your life, is the same one guiding you safely across it. Reliance on Allah is not a passive act. It is a powerful choice that transforms the heart, mind, and every aspect of life. When you truly put your trust in Allah, you understand that your efforts are important, but the outcome is not in your hands alone. You strive, plan, and act, yet you leave the result to the one who controls the heavens and the earth. This balance between effort and reliance is what turns ordinary struggle into extraordinary success. When Allah takes charge of your affairs, nothing remains impossible. Many people confuse reliance with inaction. They think that trusting Allah means doing nothing and waiting for miracles to fall from the sky. But true reliance is paired with action. It is the believer who prepares, works hard, and yet does not despair when challenges arise. They know that their efforts are meaningful, but the ultimate success comes from Allah. This understanding creates a heart at peace even in the midst of chaos. When you rely on Allah, fear begins to dissolve. The anxieties that keep you awake at night, the doubts that cloud your mind, and the stress that weighs down your body all start to lose their power. You realize that no matter how big the problem seems, Allah's power is far greater. He replaces worry with patience, despair with hope, and confusion with clarity. A heart that trusts Allah feels security even when the world is uncertain. Reliance also transforms how you perceive failure. What appears as a setback is never wasted when Allah is in control. Every struggle, every difficulty, and every perceived failure is a step toward growth and strength. Allah uses these moments to refine the heart, test sincerity, and raise ranks. When the outcome is beyond your control, reliance allows you to accept it gracefully, knowing that Allah's wisdom surpasses your understanding. Another beauty of reliance on Allah is that it encourages gratitude. When you see results that you could never have achieved alone, your heart becomes humble and thankful. When obstacles are removed or opportunities appear unexpectedly, you recognize the hand of Allah guiding your life. Gratitude grows not just from receiving, but from knowing that Allah's care is constant, even when the results are delayed or different from what you expected. Reliance also nurtures courage. When you step into the unknown, facing challenges without guaranteed success, your trust in Allah becomes your shield. You move forward even when fear whispers in your ear. You speak truth even when lies and deception surround you. You act with integrity even when the path is difficult. This courage does not come from self-confidence alone. It comes from knowing that Allah fights alongside you, guiding every step and opening every door. When Allah takes charge, outcomes often exceed expectations. He can multiply efforts, bless intentions, and turn small beginnings into great achievements. What you thought was impossible becomes possible, and what you feared would never work out becomes a story of triumph. Allah does not merely fix problems, He transforms situations in ways the human mind cannot imagine. The believer witnesses that reliance is not just about getting help. It is about experiencing divine possibilities beyond the ordinary. Finally, reliance on Allah brings peace to the heart. You no longer carry the weight of uncertainty alone. You stop overthinking, overplanning, and exhausting yourself with worry. Instead, your heart rests in the knowledge that the one who created you is fully capable of managing your affairs. This peace is a blessing in itself, a gift that comforts you even when life remains challenging. To truly rely on Allah is to say with conviction, I will do my best and Allah will do the rest. It is a mindset that turns trials into lessons, delays into preparation, and doubts into deep faith. It is the key to seeing the impossible become possible. When your heart surrenders fully, your life becomes a living testimony that with Allah in charge, nothing is beyond reach. Nothing is too difficult and every barrier can be overcome.